Welcome back to Kimchi Rednecks, shining in Korea. So, this is year 2 pear attempt. So, for Chuseok, which is kind of like Korean Thanksgiving.
It's a harvest holiday.
It's a harvest holiday. We were gifted a dozen of these ginormous,
beautiful
Asian pears. Let me get back in the light a little more here, see if you can get a better look on that. See that? Yeah, beautimous. Anyway, we have chopped and diced those.
Can I hit my button?
We got.
I'm hitting my button. It's the last fruit. By the way, this Ninja food processor, professional style, is the bomb.
Right.
Yes, we love it.
As I was saying, we chopped those up. We put them in a bucket of water with citric acid, you know, to keep them from turning brown. And then we have frappéed them up, and we're gonna make some pear brandy with them. Alrighty, so frappéed stuff is in a bag that we're tying up. We bought this metal thing here, which is like a giant tea strainer thing, but the fruit's supposed to float so that we know when it drops, so we know when it's done, so we're gonna do that. There we go. Let me bring that a little closer for you. Let me work around our kitchen here. We got a nice little handled totes here.
We also have an audience in the kitchen.
There we go. And fruit going in the tote, which obviously has been sterilized and rinsed out. We're gonna put all that pear juice back in there that fell out. Now, next up, we're gonna do some inverted sugar. We've got the pear water we stored in there, which already has citric acid in it. So we're gonna add about a 3 kilo bag of sugar. That's about 6 pounds. And we'll be ready to add the stuff. So while I got my pot with my inverted sugar heating up to a simmer here, we got the rest of the bucket here. Now, with what we found from our 3 attempts at making apple brandy with 3 different versions of a recipe, the last version we tried, we found that we liked the second version. If that doesn't make any sense, see this video up here somewhere. But we found that using majority fruit juice, or apple, it was apple juice for the apple, but we're doing pear, so this is pear juice. Using majority pear juice with some pears and then the sugar and water gave us the best result with the apple brandy. So we're gonna try our pear brandy along the same vein. So I've got, what do I have, 5 of these, so that's 2.5 gallons of pear juice. There is 1.5 gallons of water in here, so we're up to 4 gallons? I think so. Check my math, me, in the future if I'm wrong. So that should give us 4 gallons of liquid mash plus the fruit that's in there to break down. Yay! So we're gonna finish heating this up to a simmer. It's getting there almost. Put the rest of this in, and then we're gonna add our Camden tablets and our yeast nutrient and all that good stuff, because that's gotta sit overnight to make sure that it kills all the oogly booglies that might be in the fruit. Yes, that's a technical term, oogly boogly. Anyway.
You know you're talking to me?
We'll be back. All right, so we have boiled some sugar pear water with citric acid to make an inverted sugar, and we're now gonna add our stuff we need as supporting agents to the bucket here. So, little Fermented K. We're gonna wind up with about 4 gallons of mash, 4 teaspoons of that. Amylase, I'm not entirely sure amylase is necessary with fruit, but it's going in regardless just because. Well, if I didn't have it, I would need it. A little acid blend to help with the fruit preservation. Not too much of that though. Put that in there. And some pectic enzyme to help break down the fruitiness, or the fruits that are in there. Now, last on the list, we got some Camden tablets. Grab a couple spoons to break that with. Pretty sure you're supposed to use about 1 per gallon, so we got 4 in there. Fortunately, they crush pretty easily. There we go. Get that in there. Make sure you wash your hands. All right, and now we're gonna pour this into that and hopefully not get it all over the kitchen. Oh yeah. Now, since we got all this stuff in here, we're gonna put the lid on this. We're gonna set it in the fermentation room for a day to let the Camden tablets work out. And then we will pitch the yeast in there. We got some of that, what is it, EV 1116 or something like that? It's a Lalvin yeast. It's supposed to be a slower yeast. It's supposed to help with the fruity flavors, so we're going to throw that in there. And one other thing I will probably put in there with it is some oyster shells. We added the acid blend, which might make it a little more acidic. We're going to throw some oyster shell in there to help balance it out, keep it in the right pH range. And we'll see y'all in 10 to 14 days. So welcome back to our second attempt at pear brandy. Yeah, pear brandy. Out of our run, we got a respectable, I think this is, what, this is a 12 liter?
I think so.
So we got at least
6.
At least 6, maybe 7. We didn't exactly measure it, but we got about half a container, maybe a little more here. So it's a gallon and a half, gallon and 3/4.
Let's see where we are.
We got to see what proof we are at. That should hopefully be enough. Just under 70%, which is 140. Yeah, we're looking 135, 138-ish. We'll say 140 for easy math. All right, so we're gonna try and sneak up on our number. So we're gonna start with a liter, or 1,000 milliliters of water. Give that a quick stir to get it all talking to each other there. And at the same time, we've got some syrup warming up over here that we're gonna use to flavor.
Just warming that back up to room temp. I made it the other day. This is our homemade pear syrup, which has pear and bellflower and no other spice. We didn't actually put any spice in this one.
Yeah, I don't think we went the spice route.
I didn't spice this time. So
all right, so that brought us to 60%. So that's 120.
to another liter.
Do another liter. We've added a total of what? About
3 liters.
About 3 liters of water.
Which I think was your guess anyways.
Yeah, I was guessing between 3 and 4 at least. And we're at about 95 proof at the moment. So if nothing else, that gives me
the ability to taste.
The opportunity to taste it without just setting my tongue on fire. Because I don't know if you've ever tried, 120, 130 proof brandy.
He has.
You probably run a car off of it. Clear my sinuses on the back end.
Strong? Still hot?
A little bit.
Need more water? Or are we ready to start trying some syrup?
Well, we know we're gonna have to add a bit of syrup to get to the flavor we're looking for, so let's see.
Start with syrup?
What that comes up to.
All right, well, since we can no longer test it after that.
Yes. As soon as you add syrup, you kill your ability to test it with standard tools. You have to get one of those professional grade things that can test it with sugar in it. We don't have one of those.
All right, there's your first 250. I'm assuming it's going to need at least maybe a liter.
Yeah, let's start with a liter. While we're doing that, let's take what's left over of our first run so that we know about what range we're looking for.
We know that one was about 75 proof. And that one, even though we know we had difficulties with it, we ended up getting a good flavor profile in there that actually people liked after quite a bit of work.
Although I think we had to, what, do we have to distill it like twice or?
2 or 3 times distilled.
Like we distilled it once and we flavored it and we didn't like the flavor, so we had to redistill it.
It was a cluster.
It was a trial.
But it did come up with some good flavor on the back end.
Although I think over the time the bellflower in it's gotten stronger.
That would not surprise me.
Actually kind of overtakes the pear flavor.
Also doesn't surprise me. It doesn't overtake, it complements it. It's an interesting, this basically is sat for a year. So this bottle is a year old at least. I like it. It's definitely an interesting flavor.
I'm hoping we can do better though.
What are you wanting to see out of this?
Well, hopefully a little more pear flavor. Because when I taste that, like almost all I taste is bellflower.
Okay.
Let's see what we have here. Definitely smells sweet. You can smell that kind of, like you're walking through the grocery store and you can smell the pear from on the aisle. That aromatic smell, perfume, parfum.
It's perfumey.
Parfumey. Whoa.
Hot.
Hot.
So more?
That definitely is going to need more. More of something.
So what do you want, 500 milliliters more, a liter more, or what?
Let's go with 500 more for now.
Could you taste the pear? You couldn't taste shit, could you?
Kind of, but it got so hot that it was literally just burned from beginning to end. Alcohol is weird, guys. Add something with no alcohol in it whatsoever, and all of a sudden it just turns into nail polish.
Not weird. Sometimes flavors, the chemistry of flavors just don't match up 100%. And sometimes it takes a little bit extra to smooth out the flavor. Even adding water occasionally makes it hotter, which was weird. Remember?
Yeah.
we've had that. Good thing I made 2 jars of this.
Give it a good stirry stir and let it try to equalize for a minute.
One of the things we have determined after working with pear for a while is that Asian pear,
It's very
it's
delicate.
a delicate, but also can be very muted. Like, it has a flavor and it's a delicious flavor, but it somehow doesn't always come through fantastically in anything you do with it unless you're actually putting the whole frickin' pear in there.
Yeah, it doesn't mix well. It kind of immediately subsumes to whatever you're mixing it with most of the time.
Yeah. Should I give that one a taste?
Yeah.
And let me know whether or not I've got to actually pull out my other thing.
Yeah. We filled this one right up to the neck, so if it needs anything more, we gotta split to another jar. Still smells pretty much the same. Definitely less burny.
Does it need more syrup? Yes.
I don't know that it needs more syrup, because it's also to the point it's starting to get a little thick on the back end on the taste. Might need a little more water to thin it out. Melissa being brave here, she just poured a little extra water right up to the top of the neck.
Just to see.
I can't even stir this hard or I'm afraid it's gonna come out.
Just trying to see how gentle you can be with your liquor. You can stick that here.
All right.
Do, 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 do.
It's more in the right direction, I think.
All right, so here's what my recommendation is going to be. Because my mother has already said this to us multiple times, and we know my mom is right. We need to let it sit for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Let the alcohol and the syrup marry. Let that pear marry back into it.
Well, yeah, we're just trying to get an approximation of a taste. And
So if
then
you
let it
think that
sit.
that's close, then let it sit. And then if it's not where we need it to be, then we come back at it.
Okay. I think it's going to need a little more water because it's got a little burn on the back end for me, which means you're probably going to think it's warm.
That's not terrible.
I can taste the pear and I can taste the sugar in it.
That's not bad. The burn is not bad. So I think I'm right. I think
Just let it sit for...
we let it sit for 2 weeks and have its moment. We know we've already got, we infused some other alcohol that we had. So we know we've got others that are going to have to sit for 2 weeks. So let's put it on the list of check in 2 weeks.
All right. So
that's going to be it for this video because I think this is pretty close to where we want it to be.
now we have filled this jar up.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun to move around. And we're going to have to clean off the sides of it so the no-see-um bugs don't attack.
Yeah.
So, like, subscribe.
Do the internet stuff. And we keep mentioning it. There's going to be a tasting video probably around New Year's. Because we got a whole bunch of stuff that needs to sit and settle for...
So if you're local, have your people call my people. We'll see what we can hook up and you can come be in our tasting party. Because that's going to happen.
Because I'm sure there's a whole lot of people local to us here.
I like how he says that, but
Are
there
you
actually
local?
are.
Are you?
If you're in the States, sorry, you're just going to have to trust us on this. But if you're local, we're going to have a tasting party because, well, that's a lot of alcohol not to have a tasting party.
Yeah, really. What's the point of having 10 different flavors of alcohol if you don't have a party?
I mean, if you can't get your friends drunk, who do you get drunk?
Anyway, like, subscribe, do the internet stuff. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye!